Guys, it's pasta day. Let's do homemade rigatoni and some eggplant parmesan. First, we're going to need a couple things, and that's going to start with an eggplant. Throw that down in the basket. I'm going to need an onion, some garlic, the lazy kind. I also got some flour, can of crushed tomatoes, fresh mozzarella cheese, some breadcrumbs, and I'm going to need some treats like some cherry Garcia and some chocolate milk and cookie ice cream. Also, little treat for Gus, I got him some wheatgrass. Then I need some fresh basil. That's about it. That ought to do it. Homemade pasta. Guys, I'm doing the rigatoni. I got a new pasta press, and this should be cool. So I'm going to start by making out the pasta, and we're going to use the KitchenAid. So here we go. We're going to start with 1.5 cups of that double O flour, and I'll do 1.5 cups of this semolina. Next, we're going to add 4 eggs to that. I'm going to add a big old pinch of salt. We're going to get this mixing. I'm going to use the dough hook. We're going to bring this together on low. Let it just kind of come together. I want this to kind of form a ball. It's going to get kind of goopy and wet at first, but after a few minutes, it's going to form this nice ball. And that's all we're doing in the mixer. At that point, I'm going to pour this out on the counter, and it's time to hand knead, guys. So we're going to do this for about 7 to 10 minutes using the palm of my hand, folding it back in on itself, and we're going to knead this into a nice ball. And we're going to get it nice and smooth. And I realized I forgot to add my olive oil, so you know what? I'm just going to add a little drizzle on here, and I'm going to knead it in. I've never really done this before. We'll see what happens. So we start kneading. I mean, I've made lots of pasta, but I've always put the olive oil in at the very beginning, so I think it's going to work. And say hi to Gus. So my dough is starting to feel really nice. It's getting kind of spongy, so if I press into it, it kind of bounces back. I'm going to form it into a little bit of ball here, and I'm going to grab some plastic wrap. We're going to wrap this up, guys, and I'm going to leave it on the counter at room temperature, and I'm going to let it sit there for about a half hour and just relax. Now, we're going to go ahead and make some marinara. Real simple today. So we're going to start with a white onion. I'm just going to dice this up. You notice I don't use that traditional way of cutting an onion. I don't know, I kind of find this to be a little bit easier and quicker, and I'm not looking for a perfect cut here. I'm not taking an onion cutting test. This is not culinary school. So I'm going to put a little oil in that pan. I'm using the Hexclad pan today. This is the wok pan. A lot of people have asked me how I feel about these pans and are they worth it. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I think they are. Not only are they non-stick, but they're non-scratch too. I could take my metal spoon or my tongs and I could rub it around in there, and I'm not going to scratch this pan. They clean up super easy. Just a little bit of warm water and a sponge, and of course a little bit of soap. They just come totally clean. You could put it in the dishwasher if you want. So anyways, I got my onion. It's softened up a little bit. I'm going to add in that garlic. We're going to let that soften up, basically looking to kind of what I call bloom the garlic. Okay, we're going to just let that bitterness leave it and let it sort of soften. Let those flavors start coming out of it. I don't want to burn it, so we're not going on a real high heat here. I'm going to stir that in, get it all mixed around. It's just about time to add our tomatoes. I'm using a nice San Marzano style tomato. I'm going to put a couple cans in there and give that a little stir and mix it around. Guys, this is a super simple sauce. It's just your onions, your garlic, a little olive oil, your tomatoes. We're going to use the stick blender and puree this till it's nice and smooth. Now be careful, I came out of the pan a few times and I splattered tomato sauce all over my stove, which is alright, I just cleaned it up. Get that nice and pureed, real smooth. Look at that. Doesn't that have beautiful color? The sweetness of these tomatoes are absolutely perfect for this sauce. So keep blending until you get all the chunks out. You can leave it a little chunky if you want. It's all preference. I like to get mine really smooth. Once I'm at this point, I'm going to add a few pinches of salt in there. You got to have the salt or it's going to be kind of bland. Then I'm going to finish with a little bunch of basil. I'm just going to drop it in and let it cook. It's going to be absolutely perfect. It's going to add this bright freshness to the sauce, and it's just going to be amazing. So we're going to let this cook for about a half hour while we work on some other things. Our pasta has rested, and it's time to make some rigatoni. So first thing we're going to do is get out that pasta. We're going to unwrap it. I'm going to throw it down on my cutting board. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab my semolina flour, and I'm going to throw it on my little cookie sheet. The pasta is going to extrude right onto that, and I don't want it to stick to one another. So I'm going to add this down. That's going to help kind of keep it from sticking. Meanwhile, we don't want to tear this dough, we want to cut it. So I'm cutting it into small little pieces. I'm going to form it into like walnut size pieces. That's what we want. So I'm going to get them all prepped up, cover them back in plastic so they don't dry out. I turn my machine on to 6 and I have the rigatoni die in there. So we're just going to start dropping these in there. I drop one at a time. We'll wind up putting a couple at a time and just let them continually flow through. And they're coming out perfect. And I just use the little cutter on there. And as they fall, I just dust them in a little bit of that semolina flour so they don't stick to each other. And this takes time, guys. This is the whole afternoon project, but look at that. It's totally worth it. I cannot wait to cook these. I think they came out perfect. So let's do our eggplant parmesan. I do mine a little bit different. I like to clean off the skins. A lot of people leave the skins on, and that's perfectly fine. You can eat those skins. They're not going to hurt you. They kind of break down when you cook them. I clean them off. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut these into about 1/2-inch rounds. And I get them all cut up. Guys, we're going to go ahead and bread them now. I do this just like you would do a chicken parm, all right? But it's my eggplant. So I got some eggs in a bowl. I'm using about 4 eggs today to do that one eggplant. Give it a nice stir and just mix them up a little bit. Grab the other bowl. We're going to put our breadcrumbs in there. I'm only doing 2 things for this breading process today, breadcrumb and egg. I'm not going to use the flour. Typically you do flour, egg, bread, but I don't need that extra starch on there. I don't think it's necessary. So we're going to go egg, breadcrumb, get these things coated. Only takes a second, and look at that. Go ahead and get them all breaded up ahead of time. I got some oil heating up on the stove, 350 degrees. Guys, these are going to go in there, flip them around, let them swim for a few minutes and get nice and golden brown. Those are just about ready. Look at that. I'm going to throw those down on my baking sheet. Now we top them with a little bit of that marinara that we made. All right, just a little dollop on each of them. And that fresh mozzarella that I bought earlier, yeah, a slice on each one. Look at that. That goes under the broiler for about 3 minutes. Meanwhile, our pasta's ready to get cooked. This is going to take about 3 to 5 minutes, probably closer to the 4-minute mark. And we're going to boil it around. Eggplants come out. Those are ready. Those look absolutely awesome. I can't wait to get into there. Pasta's cooked. That goes into a pan with a little more of that sauce. We'll give a little toss. Guys, we are ready to plate this dinner. Let's go ahead and do it. I got my plate out. We're going to start with a little pasta. That's going right in the center. And next, I'm going to hit that with my eggplant parmesan. I'm going to start with 2 pieces. And guess what? I cooked some sausage when no one was looking. Finish the whole thing with some grated parm. That's it, guys. Look at that, man. Just get in there and enjoy. Eggplant was absolutely perfect. Crunchy and cheesy. The pasta was amazing. The sauce was just sweet and so flavorful. The sausage I love. Man, what a treat. This was perfect.
So good.
Cheers, everyone.